Hello, welcome. How is everyone today? Thank you for joining. Hi, David. Hi, Kathleen. So, Kathleen, you have to go in and request. Oh, maybe you've already just done it. Yay. Okay, checking to get the live. I am going to do where I turn off commenting. So, yay, there we are.
Hello,
Hi.
everyone. How are you?
Good. Hold on. I'm going to turn off commenting and turn off requests for live so we are not distracted. And I don't know. Let me see. I think this might work. I only saw 2 questions. Did you see any others that I didn't know about?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
No.
can you move over to the middle? Yes,
See,
perfect.
this is where I go.
I
Yay.
know.
On the other side of the screen, but yeah.
I saw that it said, I saw that the book, the Lipedema Treatment Guide, well, you have them. I guess I don't need to bring them as props or show them. Um, the Lipedema Treatment Guide I saw was on sale today on Amazon for
Yeah, so
like,
Amazon runs their own. I mean, it's up to Amazon to set the price. They pay me a certain royalty, so they can sell it for however they want. Yeah, but it was like half off last night. So if it's still half off, I would definitely snatch it up if you didn't already have a copy. It's really
okay,
nice that they're doing that. So yeah.
that's cool. I was like, oh, how timely. Did they know?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, everyone, this is Kathleen Lisson. She is a certified lymphatic therapist in the San Diego area where she is located, but she's just a worldwide presence. You know, San Diego's just like the place where some of her clients come to see her, but really her impact is worldwide. And she has written the Lipedema Treatment Guide. She has written the Plastic Surgery Recovery Handbook, right? And then Swollen, Bloated, and Puffy.
This is my
Um,
yeah.
that was the first book. Is that right?
Yep.
And that one was for both lymphedema and lipedema.
And just after plastic surgery, and
Okay.
anybody, if you're literally swollen, bloated, or puffy,
Okay,
just
yeah. So,
because your doctor's
um,
ready to do anything, your doctor's doesn't have any idea. So
yeah. Okay. So in any case, she is well versed in everything having to do with the lymphatic system. I guess really is the overarching thing for all of those topics, right? And has, she's an author, she's a hands-on clinician, she's a speaker, she's
teacher, I have classes.
yes, and
I have online.
she is yes, she runs online classes. So, you can encounter Kathleen in many different facets.
Can
So you can. You can.
I also cook breakfast for my husband? So
Right. She cooks breakfast for her husband and she makes a mean avocado toast with tomatoes and alfalfa. Is that it?
well,
Yeah.
whatever's there, yeah. I just sprinkle some stuff
It's
on top.
so good. Oh, wait.
Basil. I do like basil. Yeah.
Yeah. And she does water sports and all kinds of athletics,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
those are just her side things.
Well-rounded. Yeah.
Yeah. Silent retreats,
Yes.
hiking,
Yeah.
just, you know,
A little bit
just
of
the
everything.
average girl.
Yeah.
But today we're really here to talk about her professional side, not really her personal side. Maybe we'll throw a little of that in, but I didn't
Yeah.
look at in your honor. Blue. It's blue.
Thank you.
Um,
Oh, see, but it has to be inside. Is what inside is in a blue drink. It just
it's
can't be
not.
a clear drink
It's
in a
not
blue
a blue
bottle.
drink. It's not.
Blue
But
drink.
it's a theme.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
so anyway, Kathleen and I have known each other for a few years now, going back to my first FDRS, which is Fat Disorders Research Society convention. That was in Dallas in, I guess that was 2018. And
Yeah, yeah,
since then, we have had quite a bond. And I thought, you know what, during this Lipedema Awareness Month, we need to hear from this woman and we need to hear all the things
yeah.
lipedema. And so, what do you think we should talk about first?
I actually want to talk about you first because that's interesting. You jogged my memory because how I met you out of all the like 200 women there, there
Yeah.
was this lady. Her name was Beth. Like I knew she lived in Southern California, but you were in the fashion show and you had this dress, and
You know,
it was,
okay.
and you have a classic case of lipedema. You don't have a, it's not a like, maybe it's lipedema. It's not like, maybe it's something else. It's like, this lady has lipedema. And it was so refreshing to me that you were like, you know what? I found something that fits me. And I think I look hot. And you looked amazing from the back. You looked nice from the front. You looked amazing from the back. And like, you just walked out and you were there.
I was. I
And I
wondered
was,
what
what
dress it
this,
was.
it's a different angle than what I've seen clinically. And so I was really, I wanted to get to know more, to get to know you, to get to know how that, in your journey, how that is where you are now, because I think it's very valuable. And it's like the piece that I think someone with lipedema can give other people with lipedema that a clinician just can't give. Like it's only lip service when I tell you to love yourself.
Right. No,
You
that it
really
is.
have to find someone else who's on the same journey as you and has that can be an inspiration to other women. And that's what you were. And it's like you complete me, Beth. I can only do like this book can only look at all the research, and it's a bunch of scientists and we're interested in instruments and stuff, but the lived in experience of someone with lipedema and having a positive attitude toward it without, and you also don't have a mild case of lipedema. Your case is not one where, like, well, she's so happy because, like, she doesn't have to do any self-care. It's not like that. It's someone who's fully accepting and loving themselves and doing the self-care because they love themselves. And that's why, I was really like, I got to know this girl more. And then we had some blue drinks like the year later, and it's all history.
Do you have any idea what dress it was that you saw?
Gee, I think it was red. It was definitely also on it. You posted it on Facebook or Instagram. I think it was
Because
either red or
here, so funnily enough, the dress that I am wearing right
yes,
now
yep,
is the red dress that I wore as it is the same dress that I wore to I was a volunteer when I first came on the first day, right?
yep,
So I'm at my first convention. I'm like, I don't know a person here. I gotta somehow get, I gotta get in.
yeah,
I gotta meet the people. I gotta see the people. I'm like always not an entertainer. I'm always a hospitality. I'm always hospitable. So this was perfect for me. Okay, I'm gonna be on their registration team, and okay, great. And then I had already started doing some plus modeling again about the year before, and so I saw they were looking for models for the fashion show, and so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go. But when I came to that, I had just lost like 30 pounds in the previous year. About 6 months I had lost 30 pounds very vigorously working out with a trainer, as well as doing a 5 and 2 type diet where I was only eating shakes and bars for 5 meals, a 5 and 1, and then having one protein and maybe salad a day. So that was how I accomplished that. Um, and so when I came, I was actually quite, whatever, 30 pounds less, and I was in fighting shape. And I managed to, when I got there the first day, I managed to overnight. I actually had alcohol, which is not good for my body. I swell immediately. And I think maybe I had regular chicken fingers or something that were breaded, but it was, it was not a lot, but it was like, not great for me. And I had gained 4 pounds between the Friday when I arrived and the Saturday because I had done that the
Yeah.
body scan thing, right? And so we were like, oh, well, see, this is a perfect example. So
Yeah.
anyway, but then when I was in the fashion show, and that coming to that event, I was like, wait, what? There are people that look like me? Like, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? And I have always been very fashion oriented, and I've always tried to dress for my body and be, conservative about it. Um, and so when I did the fashion show, what I realized was that for me, and I think I'm correct. I think I had a little different twist than everybody else. I think I had a little bit more own it. I'm in there. I'm okay, right?
Yes.
And like I remember standing up there, I had a yellow dress on and it was sleeveless. And I never used to wear sleeveless, but that exact dress I had found at Ross it was a size 8, and it was on the clearance because had like a little dot on it or something. And it was $12, and I was like, and it fit on my body. And I was like, well, I have to buy it whether I need it or not, And I remember I had on, because then I still didn't, I didn't show my legs, which I really haven't started to show my legs until, I don't know, well, certainly last September, but in any case, like even just in my regular dress, like this dress, I would have never worn without tights on. And, now I do. Um, and so anyway, I had on tights, leggings that were from Walmart. And then I had some, slamming high heel shoes that matched the tights that were from TJ Maxx or something. And people were like, you got to be kidding me. Like, how can you look that good? And what are you saying? This is all from like, junk stores. You look like you
Mm-hmm.
stepped out of, Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the weekend, people sought me out the whole weekend. And I thought, this is really fascinating because maybe this is my thing. That maybe this is my thing because these women have no idea that they can do this. And moons ago, I used to do color image consulting and colors and all of that. And so I thought, okay, maybe that's going to be my contribution. Like I'm gonna, you know, and it's evolved from there. And so, um, but now I'm really in there like, you know what? Somebody needs to see that there are legs that look like this because I never saw it. And I want the other women to know that, guess what? If you show your leg, you're not going to die. And the other thing is there might even be people that like it. Ha! Imagine that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then that, for the younger girls, like, okay, guess what? You have choices, right? You have choices. You can continue and you can end up looking like me, or you can control it now and try not to progress and make sure that you walk the line and whatever. I used to be, well, it's today, I guess, 160 pounds more than I am. And so I have been the whole gamut. But even at my biggest, I still did whatever I had to do to look good. And so I think that that's just an important point, you know. So thank you for noticing that.
Yep. Because it's that spirit that I think our culture wants to crush. It wants to
Right.
crush in 90% of the women, but it especially wants to crush in like everyone who might think they have a lipedema diagnosis. Like
Yes, and you know, censorship.
that teenage boy voice in our brain
Yeah,
that's like,
I mean,
don't do this, yeah.
no, and there's and like legitimately, like the censorship is alive and well on social media. I mean, I can't tell you how like I will write the most poignant, gut-wrenching, you know, pouring my soul out post, and it has, you know, the first one started. It was me in a bikini, and they didn't allow that post to go through. And it's like, what do you mean? You know, and I didn't
Yeah.
know anything about it. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I just on my Instagram, I have a lot of male followers, and I hear from them that, you know, it's tough. It's tough because they can't necessarily, you know, some of them are like, oh, yes, I love, you know, curvy women and, you know, big, beautiful women and all of that. Some of them will stand up and say that, but there are a lot that will still say, you know, like, no, I would get thrown to the sharks if I ever admitted that, but that is really my type. And I'm like, no, you have to go for what you want because what happens? You're going to start with a woman who is not really what you want, you know, physically, right? And then you're slowly like that's going to drift and it's going to be bad. And then, you know, the other thing that I realized is that guess what? I actually am like I'm I'm really grassroots in having the male followers because they are learning about this thing, lipedema. And guess what? In the world, sorry if I'm saying the wrong thing, but in the world, if you go to an insurance company, you present your case and you're a woman. Sure, they're going to read it, they're going to look at it and they're going to go check next, right? They're, you know, but in my opinion, the man calls and says, listen, why aren't you giving my girl the care that she needs? Who do we need to talk to? Let me talk to your supervisor. Let me talk to the board. Let me talk to whatever. They're going to listen to that man more than they're going to listen to the woman who's on the phone screaming at them like, why aren't you taking my case? And the same thing about research. You know, research is often done on men, and even in drugs. You know, they don't really have that much information about, you know, how this drug affects women. They just tell you what they found out about, you know, the trial that they did with, you know, 80% men. And
Yeah.
so I think that just getting our cause out there is really starting to make people think. I mean, I have comments that, you know, that are engaging, like, well, tell me more about this, or, you know, and so I think that it is just such a, like I said, such a grassroots effort that I really am lending my voice to because I think that, you know, that not everybody can. And so I feel like it's my purpose to have to talk for all the women that were in that room who even the women who were dying to come up to me the whole weekend and didn't have
Yeah.
the nerve, you
Yeah.
know?
And
So,
it's nice because obviously none of those men are going to get to date you as a specific person, but
correct.
all of them are going to come away from an interaction with you more comfortable with what they like in women and with more knowledge of what lipedema is. So maybe their girlfriend 2 years from now has lipedema and they're not going to be like, oh, I don't understand why, you're such a klutz, you're such a wuss, why, why can't you do anything? Because now they know someone who has lipedema diagnosis and they know about what happens to her in her life and how she feels in her body, and the
Right.
way she's secure and the way she's insecure, and the symptoms that are involved, and then they can be a much better boyfriend, husband, partner, friend,
Right.
yeah. And it's
I
so it's
mean,
wonderful that you're being able to influence a wide variety of people.
it's kind of amazing because one day I realized, wow, this is like a huge impact because what about the guy who goes to grab his, whatever. They see each other. They don't live together. They're boyfriend, girlfriend. They see each other. They're together and he wants to give her a kiss and he goes to reach her arm and he goes to pull her to do that. And she goes like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's not going like that because she doesn't like him. She's
Mm-hmm.
not going like that because she didn't want to kiss him. She's
Yeah.
going like that because please don't touch my arm because it's going to hurt so much. But she
Yeah.
might not even know that, right? She might not even know that, you know, she might not know that that even hurts her. She just
Yeah.
she's just self-protecting because she somehow knows it's going to hurt her, but she doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, anyway. And so he's like all, oh, you don't ever want to kiss me, babe. And then she's like, no, but I do, like, well,
Yeah.
and it's like whatever. Or like, it's these legs, they're heavy. They're heavy. They're not like regular fat legs. They're heavy legs. So
Yeah.
getting in there in the car, you gotta schlep them in and schlep them out. And
Mm-hmm.
so, come on, babe, can you get out of the car now? Well, yeah, I'm trying to get up my nerve to throw my damn leg out, like,
Yeah.
or, I mean, oh, nice, babe, you got a great new high car. Well, that's great. I'm not sure how I'm getting in there,
Yeah.
and then you got to try and push
Yeah.
her behind in the, whatever. And so it's really fascinating how it is it's involved. It really is involved. So there's so many levels that we can educate on that, a lot of us just don't even think about, really.
Yeah. Totally
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and I do a lot of so it took me a good over 6 months. I think it took me 9 months from when I decided I want to write this and when it finally went to the editor. And there's like it jogged my memory because there's tips about how you get in and out of a car. And it's just all the little things. I try to put the research together and then a lot of little things, and the majority of it is treatments, like what you can do yourself in your own house, and helping, which experts you can go to for appointments to get some treatment for your lipedema. But it was really the more you research, the more surprised you were at how lipedema affects like each and every facet of your life. Because
Hmm.
if you've never had an injury, you have no idea that it would take you a second thought to get in and out of a car, to get in and out of the bathtub, that some people bruise more, and it hurts some people's legs in a way that they've just been belittled. As soon as they started to get these symptoms and no one in their family really understands, either it's like, oh, you have your aunt's or your grandma's legs and no one else talks about it, or like no one else has it and no one understands like why you have all these bruises, why you don't want to play, sports, and it just that with the high school. So movement is a big part of it, and I call it movement because what we've done in America and maybe all around the world is really horrible way to use exercise as a weapon. So if you do
Mm.
something wrong, like literally in sports like football, if you do something wrong, you have to go run a lap. Like exercise has been used as a weapon, and then if women don't, if a teenage woman doesn't like her weight, we tell her she has to exercise, like it's some kind of punishment. And people will even be like,
Right.
oh, I had dessert last night, now I have to get to the gym for an hour. And it's like, so that totally suffocates that little girl that we all were, like the first time we learned to ride a bike and we could ride on our own, and we're like, I'm gonna ride this bike as fast as possible, and the wind's whipping, and you think like you're riding a bike faster than anyone has ever ridden a bike before, and this is amazing, and like when you run and sprint and jump and play and like hopscotch and stuff like that, all that joyful eagerness to move your body and use your body is just, as soon as we put people in a PE class and tell them they have to choose teams, and like it's just all like ground down to where it's really hard for people to go back to exercise in any kind of organized fashion. Like it's just devastating for a lot of people to walk into a gym.
Right.
Like the whole point of a gym is people are starting to exercise, especially like on January 1st or like next week when no one's exercised for 3 months. The whole
Right.
point is like you're supposed to be able to go in there and improve yourself. And
Right.
people are so scared of the judgment, they just won't even,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's like we've boxed ourselves
Yeah.
in as a culture where we're not offering anyone opportunities to do anything without fear of judgment and recrimination.
Right. And it's like, and what happened to like, we should be exercising to move our bodies, to keep our bodies mobile. Everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody in the whole world, I don't know, 99% of the world is sedentary, right? For the majority of their day, in comparison to anything that was ever historically
Yeah.
done,
Unless
right?
you do manual
And
labor. Yeah.
yeah, and so what is it that how is it that we got away from, like, I know with me, anytime that I go on one of my lives and I'm at the gym, or now I've been doing some exercise classes um, for this lipedema month. And it's like, you know, the comments that I get are like, don't change your body. Well, I'm not doing exercise to change my body. I'm doing exercise to keep my body mobile.
Yeah.
Exercise is for you to maintain your health. Like,
Yeah.
if everybody was exercising to maintain their health, guess what? People wouldn't have to improve their health. I mean, it's like, but you bring up such a great point about that it has been such a punitive measure for so many for so long. It's,
Yep.
or, exercise to celebrate that your body can actually do that.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
So what I've seen in San Diego, in Southern California, which is super positive for me, as like a clinician, as someone who likes public health, is over the last 3 months, like people that I've never, the amount of people that I've seen walking, who are putting this value on walking because they're stuck at home, and walking is it's now like this really amazing thing that people get to do, and a lot of like the animal shelters are empty because everyone's adopting a dog because you can walk the dog. So even if you like, walking is a really great, easy exercise. The most valuable exercise that we talk to people about lymphedema and lipedema is unfortunately swimming, which is not where we are right now unless you have a pool at home. It's really hard to swim in, but that's really the only limitation for people, because we were talking earlier about like what should people do for their self-care now that we're in this different situation. And so the positive of having to stay at home is you have a lot more control over your food, and that's a huge part of most people's daily life, is they lose that control over food if they're having to, if they have to be out of the house for 12 hours at a time and they don't have access to a refrigerator where they are, they can't easily bring foods from home. So that's the one positive thing, is we have a lot of access to the full kitchen at home. And then you also have access to like the grocery store. So if there's ever a time to figure out if you like kumquats or not, like this is it. Like go to the store and look at the weird stuff that no one else picked, and like try it, and like try some recipes and see new recipes that you like. We were talking about stuff that you can do that you've always been able to do, is like dry brushing. And in all my books, but in the Swollen, Bloated, and Puffy book, yep, I talk about dry brushing. I talk about essential oils in this book, and some people will do the dry brushing and then they'll do essential oils that have like balancing the lymphatic system, and you can put that in a lotion and then massage yourself with the lotion. You can inhale essential oils. Limited, you can put them in the diffuser if you want to diffuse them, like stuff that's nice and safe, like orange, citrus, lavender, and all of these. These are all listed here, and the ones that have are lymphagogues that have take action on the lymphatic system, which is what we want to boost when we have lipedema. I have a Facebook page that's called Lipedema Treatment Guide, the Facebook page. So I will put new studies that I see on that page. So it's kind of like if you've already read the book and you want to read more. And there's a recent study, and one of the authors is from Southern California, and they talk about they had people with lipedema diagnosis. They put them through a lymphoscintigraphy, and they found that indeed the lymphoscintigraphy says that they have issues with their lymphatic system. So it's not just extra fat that you've put on, it's actually, so that's where you're seeing the boost when you do the dry brushing, you're seeing the benefit when you get in the pool, you're seeing the benefit when you do compression. It's because there is a slowing down of the lymphatic system in this disease. So it's not just all in your head, which is what, maybe your doctor told you. It's all in your head.
Yeah, right. For many years.
Yeah.
Years. Although for me personally, I was the person who always used to have to go to the, I would go to the doctor and I would have like 20 symptoms, all of them now, which are total lipedema system symptoms. And I would say, do you think this is because I had a back injury and it was never resolving? And I said, do you think it's because my butt, to the orthopedist in La Jolla, do you think this is because my butt is like my butt is so heavy, it's, hanging? And I didn't know I had a heavy butt then because I didn't know anything about lipedema. I mean, I knew it was, and he was like, no, absolutely not. And I was like, okay. But I was the one, I was the opposite side. I was the one who always had to go and try and say, like, can we just agree that, like, I have problems because, my legs keep growing bigger or whatever, like it was, I used to have to do that all the time. Do you think? And in retrospect, I was like, right, like 90% of the time I was right that it was really because I friggin' had lipedema, excuse my French, but like, I mean, and I had like I said, I had no idea. I only got diagnosed in October 2017. So,
so that's if we can touch on that. So I know you got diagnosed by Dr. Eicher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're really, really lucky in Southern California to have Dr. Eicher. But right. The idea that there's your friendly local like lymphologist in your neighborhood that you can just drive down the street to get diagnosed is not the reality for the vast majority of women with lipedema. And what I see a lot of times is people are making two mistakes. One, they're going to the wrong person, and two, they're going in with the wrong level of information. So it's really interesting. In doing the research from the book, I found that different doctors diagnose lipedema in different countries. It's fascinating. If you go to the Netherlands, you'll go to a dermatologist to get your lipedema diagnosed. But if you come here in America, there's only two dermatologists I know of in Southern California that know what lipedema is. One's Dr. Amron, and the other is also a venous specialist here in San Diego. So I recommend that you go to a vein specialist if you want a diagnosis. And then, well, the easiest way is if somehow you can get to a lymphedema therapist. Most of us know about it, but if you want that first diagnosis, it's the vein specialist, or more often, the more straightforward route is to go, if you have a plastic surgeon in your area that diagnoses lipedema and does the surgery, that for a lot of women, even if they don't have the money for the surgery at that time, just to be in the same room with someone with a medical certificate on the wall that says you have lipedema, I see it, and here's how I know what it is, and your symptoms are because of this disease, and we can make a plan and see if you are a candidate for surgery or not. But for a lot of women, even just that diagnosis is very meaningful, even if it doesn't lead to you know, the insurance company is obviously not going to roll over and pay for all your liposuction and all your lymphatic drainage. Like that has to be, for a lot of women, it comes out of their own pocket, in their family's pocket. And there's multiple surgeries. It's never just one surgery. But having the diagnosis is a good start because it allows you to like walk through the world with your head high, not believing what everyone's going to tell you, which is that you're just fat and you just eat too much and, you know, you just need diet and exercise, and diets don't work. They don't work for 90% of the population. That's why we have like the term yo-yo dieting. You can lose weight from a diet, but the idea that you can lose weight from a short-term diet and then go back to an eating pattern that you're comfortable with, and keep all that weight off magically is just ridiculous. But a lot of doctors are still like selling it at the same time as they sell bariatric surgery, which is stunning to me, how diets and exercise works. And also we have a complete bariatric surgery section in our hospital, you know. So the second thing is you don't necessarily have to buy this. There's also a very good book by physicians on lipedema that you can also find on Amazon. And I would go into, if you're going to go into a doctor's appointment, I would go in with an actual book. Yeah.
I'm listening. I'll be right back.
So one of the issues I see over and over with ladies is they'll come in with very well intentioned, you know, with a lot of courage, and they will have some photocopies of stuff, maybe a research study, something that they found on the internet. And that's, your doctor is, if your doctor doesn't already know what lipedema is, that's not enough to convince that physician. You have to have one of these books, and then not only have the book be like, I read this, I think it's me, what should I do? More and more in the healthcare, we are going over, yes, and that's an amazing, this is a resource that you can use to learn more about the possible treatments that you can get. So all these books are a resource that you can use. So I want the person who has a lipedema diagnosis to be in charge of their own care. This is where they're going forward in their entire healthcare system in Netherlands. And I think this is the next step for America too, which is your doctor is not in charge of your care anymore. You're in charge of your care. And your doctor is someone that you can have a conversation with, but you're the one who's going to have to do the bulk of the self-care every day. If you get a lymphatic pump, you're the one that's going to have to strap yourself in the pump. If you get the compression garments, you know, maybe you'll get a prescription for compression garments, but no one's coming over every morning and helping you put them on. Like, you have to put them on. They can issue you, you know, a diet for whatever, if you have an illness and you go to a dietitian and they give you a diet, but you're the one that has to buy the food and cook it and eat it. So even if you take this book, like, this book will give you the tools, but you're the one who's going to have to go forward and use those tools and take control of your own self-care. And plan A is never going to work. We can say all of these great things like, oh, I'm going to take control of my morning, and these are the 5 things that I'm going to do. And then, but especially in 2020, like, the world is going to throw a wrench in your works. And it's up to you to have, when something goes wrong, when my son gets the flu, when my husband, you know, goes out of town, when the car breaks down, what do you do then? When you can't have a pool because there's a pandemic, like, what are some alternate things you can do? So in a time where it's peaceful, where there's no, like, the fires aren't burning in your house, make a plan of what your treatment is, and then make a plan B. Like, if the gym is closed, then I'm going to go for a walk. Like, if I can't go for a walk on here, then I'm going to drive to this, you know, lake that I really love and it's really peaceful. If I'm stressed out, I'm going to drive to the lake. If I'm stressed out, I'm going to do this. And having those plans and having them written down, because it's great. We can always think of them in the head, but for me, in the past 3 months, I had like levels of anxiety, which are like stunning for me because I'm not an anxious person. So I'd sit there in the morning and my husband's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I think this is the anxiety everyone's talking about, because like but it's crazy. And you're just like in this box. And I was like, you need a physical piece of paper. And you're like, when I feel like this, I'm going to get my piece of paper. And this piece of paper is going to have what I've written 10 things that will make me feel a little bit better. Whether it's, you know, gardening, looking at nature, watching some YouTube video, meditating, petting my dog, having a glass of water.
Outside,
Yeah.
right?
So whatever, and it's what I'm recommending is not what's good for anyone else here. It's got to be something that speaks to your soul. So each individual list has to be different, but it really is having that list, having like not in your brain, but physically being like it's second grade and you have to write everything down because the teacher told you to, and like telling someone else the location of your secret list, because like when everything's closing in on you, you don't even have the bandwidth to be like, I'll pull my list out. Sometimes your husband might have to pull that list out, and he's like, here's your list, honey. Here's a glass of water.
Yeah, I know. I have done a lot of water exercise, whether it's at the gym or I do have an above ground pool here, and you know, it was not functional until Memorial Day. And so in the interim, and I was like, oh my gosh, but it was like one of the legs was broken and we had to get apart, so we couldn't, you know.
Yeah.
And so I, for the first time, became, you know, reliant on doing Epsom salt baths, because it really changed my level of pain. It calmed me down just in general. I too have had like tremendous amount of anxiety of like, oh my God, you know, like, and more so like just completely disjointed, you know, like can't even, well, you and I mean, I think it was April, it was the beginning of April that I was like, okay, we got to get together or whatever. And we haven't done till now, you know, it's like,
yeah.
Really, I relied on my vibration plate tremendously, you know, 15 minutes a day, so I could figure out how to find 15 minutes for myself. The dry brushing before going to bed. What else have I really done during this lockdown? Not a lot of exercise, and I was giving myself freedom to eat, you know, like whatever I wanted, and only cooking at home. So for me, it wasn't any kind of crazy situation, even having that. And I think for me, actually having the license to have what I wanted was the best thing, because I didn't worry about that I didn't have the license. Because when I first started on the first day, I was like, okay, this is, you know, this is going to be, you know, on point and you know, whatever. And then it's like, no, this needs to be an intuitive time, like have what you want or whatever. And I did start carnivore last week, and up until then, you know, I had done that, but I was only 1 pound different. Well, you know, I can go 1 pound. So actually, funnily enough, in the week of carnivore, so I'm officially released 6 pounds. So that's phenomenal. But I had already released an extra. I had released 7 pounds. But on the day that I found that out, I ended up eating like 6 strips of bacon, and then later that day I had sausage, and later that day I had pork rinds, and all of those things are not good for my personal body because they're like loaded with salt for me. And do I have a pork sensitivity? Not sure, but I'm checking that out, right? So now I realize, okay, next time let's see if you just eat a piece of pork that doesn't have salt, what happens then? And so that biohacking aspect, always, like, you know, it's every day. I'm one of those people who goes on the scale every day because I want to find out, is what I did in the day, does that work or does it not work? And so, you know, some days can be perfect and the scale goes up and it's like, well, how did that happen? And so that's just a lipedema thing that you just can't, you know, there's no rhyme or reason. You can't figure that out. But I think anything that, you know, everybody has to do what they, you know, even though there are you know, nutrition suggestions here, there are nutrition suggestions here, you have to figure out what works for you, right? You have to figure out what is it that works for your body to have the least amount of inflammation. And that's the thing that so many people don't want. They want to know, well, what worked for you? And then I'm going to do the exact thing. And that's just, that's how it works, you know?
Yeah, and it's so one of the most difficult things for people. So understand that though it sounds simple coming out of mouth, it's really difficult, but it's valuable and it's simple. But a lot of people won't want to do it. And then you have to explore why you don't want to do it. And sometimes that's the real valuable part is trying to figure out why it's difficult for you is to like take a piece of paper and keep an eating journal. And it's not punitive. So if you need to eat 10 cookies, you write 10 cookies. But then how did you feel emotionally before you ate the cookies? How did your body feel physically after you ate the cookies? How did you feel emotional after you ate the cookies? And then like what happened later on? Like you said, if you eat all this pork, and then your body will give you a response. And a lot of people don't, they'd rather have a menu from out here than like listen to in here because
Right.
there's somebody inside that knows exactly what you should be eating. But you have to understand that you're eating not just to improve the symptoms of lipedema and not just to give the nutrition you need for your body, but there's a lot of emotions going on in the eating. We've been trained ever since our parents started feeding us food. Food
Right.
has been used in the culture,
Right.
in our rituals, in the cake at the birthday. And if I have a stressful day, I'll come home and I'll make some pasta and I'll feel better. And it'll have like the good olive oil on it and all this. Everything has an extra dimension to it emotionally to feed our emotions. So
Right.
this is a very emotional time right now for
Very.
everybody and for a
Right.
lot of people more than other people. So we have to understand that like if the cookie is going to be good for your mental health and that's more valuable than like what's
Right
going to
now.
happen on the scale the next day, then it's
Right.
actually wise for you to eat that cookie.
Right. Which is one of the things that I am really my mantra for the year is embrace and accept. And the whole part of that is like if you can just embrace that this is where you are at right now. Like right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic and everybody is figuring out what do they got to do to survive, right? And there are some people who also think, well, hell, uh, if I'm going to get corona, I'm not going down without my cookie. Like, like live it up. There are people who are eating because they're scared. There are people who are eating because they need comfort. There are people who are eating who are like, F you, if I'm going out, I'm not going out unhappy on a diet because I've done that my whole life. And so guess what? It's okay. It's okay to be doing what you're doing right now. The
Yeah.
thing I always ask for people to consider is that at some day you may change that thought. Be open to the fact that this is where you're at right now
Yep.
and embrace it and that and accept that and then maybe consider that someday you that will change. What will bring you to that change? I don't know. Let's hope it's a better change, but maybe it's not. And guess what? You're going to have to be, if you're in a different place that's, you know, so worse than where you are now in whatever it is, then okay, when you're there, embrace that and go, okay, this is where I'm at now, but maybe that could be different, you know? I
Yep.
like I keep saying about, the people who are at home and they're in their apartment all day and they have brown carpet and they hate brown carpet, but they're never usually there because they're out, they're gallivanting, go to sleep. By that point, they're too tired, they don't really notice, but now they're home and they have to see it every single day. And it's an apartment, so they can't change it. Well, guess what? Can you just accept you got brown carpet? Can you just love the fact that that brown carpet is there and it's not making your feet touch the plywood that's underneath? And it's okay. It's okay. It might not be what you want, but it's all right. You can manage,
Yep.
Okay, So we have 10 minutes. Have you ever seen this book? It's called
Yes,
Swans in Disguise.
I've read
This
that book.
book for
The
ladies,
doctor.
yes, this book is phenomenal. And I had never read anybody else's story
Yes.
who put it so poignantly. And it was like, wow, why did she write my life there? Like, how did she know my life? And so I found it to be very helpful from the community perspective of like, I'm not alone. So that
Yeah.
was good. I do
Yeah,
want to,
I
since
got
we said,
that on Amazon, so it should hopefully still be on it. All the books that I've seen are on Amazon. So
yeah, I think so in case, because I know it's backwards, so I just want to say the name. This is called the Lymphedema and Lipedema Nutrition Guide. And Dr. Eicher and Dr. Herbst and let's see, Chuck
and
Early, Linda Ann Kahn, Dorothy Sears, Mandy Kenyon, Elizabeth McMahon, and Felicity Daftour, they were all part of that project. So in any case, that is in case people want to know what that is. Okay, can I tell you the questions? We got 2 questions. So one question is from a gentleman, and he says, James Cassidy, 763. He says his girlfriend has lymphedema. So, and she is in a wheelchair. How can he help her? And so, what are your thoughts on that?
so this would be, so I'm going to give general advice because specific advice is, so I would hope that if she's in a wheelchair, she would have enough clinicians that would be able to give some specific advice. If you go, there's a website called lipedema and if you go on the resources on that website, there is a section of wheelchair and seated based exercises. So, and these are all like free videos that are on YouTube. So she can look at those. When it doesn't, I don't know if it's upper extremity or lower extremity lymphedema, but the donning and doffing, the taking off and putting on of the garments are really important. And that might be something she would have difficulty with doing. So just if he's there or can coordinate, maybe there's someone like the boy from next door in the neighborhood or the girl from next door wants to help to take the garments on and off, that would be great. Because it's not something, you usually don't get a level of home health where someone's there for 10 hours and is there in the morning and there at night. So it's frustrating for that. But there's a lot of lymphedema. You can usually get a prescription for a pump, intermittent pneumatic compression, and there's 2 or 3 good brands of pumps out there. The lymphedema therapist would be, or the physician would be the one to give that, to give the prescription, and then the device would come to the house, and then if he straps her in, that would be great. And then that's like automatically like an hour of me time for her where she can, there's a lot of different things you can do. It's definitely, it's a hurdle. And I think it's a hurdle. Lymphedema care from diagnosis to when you finish your complex decongestive therapy it can be like less than a month. And so this is not something that you can get your head around in a month, like a diagnosis. But that's the time where you get, like a lot of care, and then your level of care goes down to like 0. And then you're in, because they'll do the wrapping and then they'll give you a garment and then they'll be like, you're good to go forever. But you're still in your brain.
You have to self-manage it.
Yeah, you have to self-manage it, they give you the tools. So we're really good at giving you the tools. So you physically, there's a lot of donning aids and stuff, so you can get the garment on and off. You can go to the pool if there's a pool that has the handicap that she can get in and out with the wheelchair. Like the pool exercise, depending on if she likes pool exercise, a lot of it is very empowering. And especially if people have lipedema and they're in a larger body, the pool exercise can often be very empowering because of the gait changes, because of the distribution of the fat on the legs. It's difficult to walk and run and do all these exercises without feeling weighed down. But when you're in the pool, all of a sudden, everything's like lighter.
It's all lifted.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's all like it is like a manual lymphatic drainage.
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
When I go in the pool, I mostly jump around, maybe walk, but I'm mostly like moving, but I'm not in the pool swimming. Like I'm not swimming
No,
laps. I'm
stand,
just like, standing there like moving my leg and
standing is
keeping
better.
my leg, and the thing if you have lipedema, which I imagine maybe there's something with lymphedema to this too, but you actually float if you have lipedema. And so, you don't have to worry about can I keep both of my legs up, like whatever. It's kind of
Yeah,
I was in there yesterday going, I wonder what the difference is when you've had surgery and when you haven't
yeah,
in the pool. What difference is that experience? It definitely does help to reduce inflammation or even keep it at bay. I had to do that when I was pregnant with my son. I had to go for pool exercise after my 6 months in the gym. They were like, yeah, you're out of the gym, lady. You got to go in the pool. And I was like, what?
yeah.
And I never had a swollen ankle in the whole pregnancy until the last week when I couldn't go because it was too far, in
Yeah.
the opposite direction from the hospital. So that was pretty amazing. And now, we started talking about this before, but the lipedema experience, in my experience, and from many people that I talk to, is like every day is an aha moment of like, what? Oh my gosh, that's why that. And so this was like, when I heard, oh, pool exercise, and I was like, like, no problem. Like, I've been there, I've done that. I know that it works. And this guy who I thought was crazy telling me to go in the pool, was like, my goodness, he sure knew what he was, he knew what he
Mhm.
was talking about. And that's just amazing,
Mhm.
crazy. So James, I hope that helps a little bit. I think just the fact that you want to help is helpful, and you should let her know that you're there to assist her. Even, maybe she does already have a decongestant pump and it's boring to sit there for an hour by herself. And she's tired of what, maybe she wants you to sit there and hold her hand during that. I mean, this is also a conversation that you have to have. How can I help you? What would be helpful if I did, if I helped you with it? I think that would be good. Um,
Or
okay,
take
then,
the, or instead of putting the onus on her, like if there is a pump, like do you have a pump? Let's get the pump out and look at it. I
yeah,
want to strap you in this pump once a day. What time do you want to be in the pump? And I'm going to put you in it. So it's not, people feel embarrassed. They don't want to feel, they want to have a sexual relationship with you. They don't want you to feel like, you are the caretaker. So, like, how can you do it in a loving manner
right,
versus, like in the nursing type manner?
right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Going back to, I'm all about the divine masculine and feminine. And so get in your lead mode because
Yeah.
really that's what all women need, regardless of what they say. That's what they need. They need somebody to lead them. So just do it. Okay, one more minute. Oh my God. How do I know if surgery is for me? I'm stage 2, and I have managed to stay in that stage, but I've gone up to a size 14, so I imagine that means she went up somehow. But she strength trains, and she's been doing keto for 2 months.
So it's the symptoms. I mean, really, it's do you have like $20,000? Because if you don't have $20,000, and your symptoms are not so frustrating, it's kind of like if you have to ask me the question, you're not there yet. If you're driven forward, and it's really a concern for you, I would get an online consultation with a doctor, and this is actually the ideal time to do that because a lot of them we learned
Available.
about medicine really fast in the past 90 days. So you
Yeah,
could possibly do an online consultation and get some advanced testing and see if you're a candidate. And then
right,
it's just symptom control versus do you really want to undergo the surgery? Um,
right.
Especially
Absolutely.
if you everything's good with you and you have a steady case. It really is. We don't have anything more than liposuction right now for the surgery, and it does not cure lipedema. It just reduces the symptoms.
Okay, we have 20 seconds. So I
It
just
was
want to say thank you so
so
much. Love
welcome.
you. I
Have a
hope
good
everybody
night.
enjoyed it, and I'm going to sign off before we lose it, okay?
Okay, bye.
Bye.